This video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Hello everyone, Katie here from Salvaged by K. Scott. I am a furniture flipper and you can usually find me here on the channel updating worn out, outdated, and abandoned pieces of furniture with paint. But today I am going to try something that I have never attempted before. I've been wanting to recreate the lacquered linen or linen wrapped furniture style for quite some time. Today I'm going to take the plunge and attempt to cover this beautiful vintage waterfall style dresser in actual fabric. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I'm excited to bring you guys along for the ride. I totally lucked out with this dresser. Like I said, I found it on the curb. It was there for someone like me to scoop it up. Obviously, the previous owner had already started their own makeover, but gave up after doing all of the hard work and completely strip sanding this piece. So I don't really need to do too much before I start on my own design. I do want to fill in this inlay detail on the top drawer so that I end up with a nice smooth finish. I used some of this wood filler and a putty knife just to fill in that inlay, and then came back after a few hours and sanded it smooth. The rest of the dresser is pretty rough from being sanded with a coarse grit, and I'm actually going to leave it like that and use this texture to my advantage. It should help my fabric make a really good bond, and I do also want to prime this dresser with my usual Behr shellac based primer. This primer is going to give me a bright white background, but more importantly, it's going to keep any wood tannins from leaching up out of the wood over time that might potentially stain my fabric. I did 2 coats of primer, one immediately after the other, and then once it was dry, I moved everything inside the house so that I could work on this in my kitchen and not have to worry about getting the fabric dirty on my garage floor. The day before, I stopped in at my local fabric store to see what I could find. I wanted a fabric that was kind of a medium weight so that I could mold it around the curves and details on my dresser, but not too thin that you'd be able to see through it. I also wanted a neutral color, and obviously the best deal that I could find. I finally ended up with this beige kind of tweed that was on sale, so I had them cut me 2 meters, which ended up costing me $23.50. I laid the dresser on its side so I could work on a flat surface and loosely measured out what I needed to cover that side. I brushed a thick layer of Mod Podge over the entire side, and then I placed my fabric down and smoothed it into that glue with my hands. I used my fingers to press it into the corners and the edges along this inset panel, and then I watered down some more of that Mod Podge and applied a layer over the top of the fabric as well. The Mod Podge over the top is actually going to act kind of like a starch and stiffen up the fabric, so that I'll be able to cut it really easily and not have it fray. Once it's dry, it should give me some nice clean seams. While I waited for that side panel to dry, I moved on to the drawers with the exact same technique. I left all of that to dry for a few hours, and when I came back to cut away the excess and move on to the next section, I noticed that while my fabric was stuck, it wasn't stuck enough. It came up off of the primed surface way too easily, and I was worried that if I left it like that, the edges would start lifting and the whole thing would fall apart with the slightest touch. So I went ahead and trimmed the overhang with a brand new, really sharp razor blade while I thought about how I was going to stick this stuff down in a more permanent way. I ended up running to Walmart really quick and grabbing some of this Gorilla spray glue in hopes of a better bond. I lifted up the fabric wherever I could and sprayed that Gorilla glue underneath. Luckily, this made a super fast and extremely solid bond, so I felt totally confident now moving forward with this combination instead. Gorilla glue to stick the fabric to the dresser, and then that diluted Mod Podge over the top. As each section dried and stiffened up, I used my razor to cut away the excess. I just leaned the blade against the surface and followed the lines of the piece. I didn't want to wrap the fabric around the edges of the drawers or the inside lip of the dresser because that would be adding a lot of bulk, and these drawers already have a tight fit, so I don't want the excess fabric to be interfering with the way that the drawers open and close. It took me all day to get this thing covered, and after all of that fiddling, I am ready for an easy dinner that I don't have to think about too much, and my weekly HelloFresh meal kit delivery showed up at the perfect time with everything I need. To help keep me from falling into that dreaded recipe rut, HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items each and every week, including ready-to-eat salads, sandwiches, and soups that all come delivered right to my door with pre-portioned ingredients. That means way less prep involved for me and much less food is getting wasted. Tonight we're going to be enjoying this family-friendly chicken and spinach pasta dish. All I have to do is follow the simple recipe card, and in just 30 minutes, we'll have a delicious, hearty meal that is packed with farm fresh vegetables. Right now, you can also mix and match in the HelloFresh market with fall-inspired sweets and beverages like ready-to-bake pumpkin cinnamon rolls, mini pumpkin cheesecakes, apricot pecan biscuit bakes, and my personal favorite, spiced lattes. If you want to make your meal times a whole lot easier, go to HelloFresh.com and use code KatieScott14 to get 14 free meals, including free shipping. I think this one was a winner. Way too early the next morning, I painted the edges of the drawers with this Driftwood color by Chic. It matches my fabric really well and it blends into the design pretty seamlessly. I also decided to paint the outsides and the insides of the drawers, which I usually frown upon, but I think it's the right choice here. I just want to leave this channel where the drawers slide free from paint, again, so I'm not affecting the way that the drawers move. And before I finish up, I want to add one more coat of protection. I could use some more Mod Podge for this, but I emptied my entire container yesterday on the first round, so I'm going to brush on a thick coat of this matte poly by Behr. This should completely seal up the fabric and make this piece wipeable and less susceptible to stains. Here it is. It started off as someone else's abandoned project, and now I think it looks pretty amazing. It's definitely not perfect. The bottom drawer ended up drying in 2 different colors, so I'm gonna have to go back and try and fix that somehow. But overall, I don't think it's too bad for a first attempt at a new technique. I really hope that this project has inspired you to look at some of your own furniture pieces a little bit differently. Make sure that you go to HelloFresh.com and use code KatieScott14 to get 14 free meals, including free shipping. Also, make sure that you are subscribed before you go so that you never miss out on any furniture flipping inspiration. And I will catch you guys next time.